la autoridad, y cito, para interrogar a cualquier persona que se crea que es extranjera sobre su derecho de estar en los Estados Unidos. Este lenguaje es intencional. Esas palabras implican sospecha sin causa. Esa discriminación racial es codificada. Les pregunto, cuando un agente ve a alguien, ¿cómo puede saber si esa persona es inmigrante? ¿Cómo puede saber si es indocumentada? ACLU publicó una revisión que encontró que acuerdos 287G en todo el país, en el 65% mostraban patrones de discriminación racial. Estos acuerdos se justifican con la premisa de que son necesarios para expulsar a los llamados inmigrantes criminales de nuestra ciudad. Esto es completamente falso. No solo es menos probable que los inmigrantes cometan delitos que los ciudadanos nacidos en Estados Unidos, sino que estos acuerdos destruyen la confianza de la comunidad con la policía. Exponen a los inmigrantes a la delincuencia al infundirles miedo a llamar a la policía o a una ambulancia en caso de emergencia. Debemos entender que ICE es una agencia federal, pero sus tentáculos se extienden a todas nuestras ciudades. La maquinaria de deportación comienza a nivel local con acuerdos como el 287G. ICE por sí sola no tiene la capacidad de llenar los campos de concentración de migrantes como Alligator Alcatraz o el depósito de deportación. Necesitan agencias como la Patrulla de Carreteras de la Florida, la Oficina del Sheriff del Condado de Pinellas y el Departamento de Policía de San Petersburgo para lograrlo. Las cifras lo demuestran. Desde el 1 de agosto hasta ayer, 22 de diciembre, ICE arrestó en la Florida a 8.500 inmigrantes. Y de esos, el 43% fue gracias a los acuerdos 287G. Las cifras lo demuestran. Desde el 1 de agosto de ayer San Petersburgo no debería ser parte de esto. Estamos organizando una campaña para luchar contra esta situación y movilizar a la gente, a todos los residentes de San Petersburgo en torno a este tema. Si quieres unirte a la lucha, visita www.end287g.com. Firma nuestra petición y únete como voluntario. Solo el pueblo unido acabará con 287G. So now we're going to hear from community organizers and faith leaders about the damage that this agreement does to our community. First, we have a very special speaker, Pastor Andy Oliver from the United Methodist Church.
My name is Reverend Andy Oliver, A-N-D-Y-O-L-I-V-E-R. I'm pastor of Allendale United Methodist Church in St. Petersburg. Tonight, there's going to be an image projected on my church. It is a nativity scene, but not what you're seeing. In this nativity scene, Joseph is being arrested. Someone is grabbing for Mary, because that is the truth of the story. That first Christmas night, the Holy Family were immigrants. They were refugees, and they were homeless, trying to find a place to sleep with their newborn child. So under your current policy, Chief Holloway, that family, if they were here in St. Pete, would not be met with shelter or mercy. They would be arrested. They would be separated. Police would call ICE and say, you can come pick them up. And just like that, the family that Christians proclaim as holy would be torn apart. Their crime would not be violence. It would not be danger. Their crime would just be existence. It would be crossing a border to survive. It would be bringing love into the world while being poor, brown, and unwanted. So I'm asking a simple but urgent question today. What if we saw every family as holy? What if we saw every individual as fully human? What if we stopped criminalizing people's existence because of their race or ethnicity? Chief Holloway, history is very clear about this. Policies like yours always have legal cover in their own moment. They're always justified as public safety, or they are always defended as, I'm just doing my job. And later, they are remembered with shame. Time will judge these policies as harshly as it judges Bull Connor, and every other official who targeted the vulnerable out of fear and called it order. This is not abstract, Chief Holloway. This is your legacy. And yet, this does not have to be the end of the story. Chief Holloway, you and I spoke while I was handcuffed in the back of a patrol car for kneeling on a Black History mural. And I believe you know deep down these policies are wrong. You can still choose differently. Like the wise men long ago, you can refuse to do Herod's bidding. You can refuse to do his bidding. You can say you will not be a pipeline for cruelty. You can decide that your department will not participate in tearing families apart. This is your moment to change course, Chief Holloway, to stand up for what you know is right, to choose humanity over fear. The Holy Family is still knocking on our doors. The question is whether we will arrest them or protect them. Yeah. Chief Holloway, I'm asking you to choose the better angels of your own heart. And now I'll introduce to you Angel Murchison with Tampa DSA.
Maybe one day you can understand that, sir. I'm trying to be respectful, but oh my God.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angel Murchison, ANGEL MURCHISON. I'm a steering committee member of the Tampa Democratic Socialists of America. We know that the Trump regime has had an intense focus on immigration since its very inception. Trump came down that golden escalator in 2015, and what did he say? When Mexico sends their people, they're sending rapists, criminals, and drug dealers, and some of them may be nice people. This was one of the statements he made while announcing his candidacy 10 years ago, one of the first statements he ever made as a political actor. Over the next 10 years, the rhetoric and politics surrounding immigrants would continue to heat up. In 2025, the rate of immigration arrests have more than doubled from the previous year. 660 arrests per day, compared to fewer than 300 per day in 2024. Women and children have been taken as well. Were they the rapists or the drug dealers, do you think? Perhaps they were actually nice people. This increase in arrests is directly enabled by the 287G agreements across our state, a state with more agreements of this kind than any other. Trump has done exactly what he set out to do, and more. He has made a villain of the most vulnerable population among us, and he has the numbers to show for it. And after removing all of these people, do you think there will be less crime in our communities? No, there won't, because immigrants commit less crimes than citizens. This is plainly visible in the arrest stats. But somehow this country has painted brown people in such a negative light that you can just put their face on the news or say a foreign-sounding name, and some Americans will just believe that they're a bad person who does not belong here. Speaking of bad people who do not belong here, Ron DeSantis. Let's talk about what will surely become his legacy, the disgrace that has been dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. I call it a concentration camp. Some have described it as a black site where information does not easily come out and laws do not necessarily apply. It's most certainly an illegal scar upon the natural landscape of our state, at the very, very least. And in the first 2 months of its activity, 600 people went missing. In 2 months, 600 people went missing. It's been active for 6 months now, but we do not have an updated count. And how many of those missing have been sent to CCOT, the illegal gulag we have partnered with in El Salvador? We've already had to rescue innocent people from that place, like Hilmar Abrego Garcia. But how many innocent people will go unsaved? These are the questions we must ask ourselves in light of this lawless government. They have made it very difficult for lawyers and family members to get information from these facilities, and there really is no reason for that kind of obfuscation within our justice system. We all have a right to know where our family is when they've been arrested. These are human beings, treated like less than animals. There are reports of detainees being fed uncooked rice, being forced to sleep in overcrowded cells, not being allowed to shower, being denied medical care. And this is only what's been reported. We know that most abuses go unreported. And we will be here demanding for this to end until the moment it does. And when it does, we want receipts. And those receipts better have names. This amount of lawlessness cannot go unpunished. Ron DeSantis has made a scar on our nation and on our state, but it does not have to be permanent. We must seek justice, and Alligator Alcatraz must be shut down.
Yes.
As I said, I'm from across the bay in Tampa, where we haven't seen this level of racial profiling since the days of old Bob Buckhorn, when he couldn't stand to see a black man on a bicycle. By the way, I've heard he wants to run for mayor again. Please spare us, Bob. You are not the man for the moment. Again, that was just 10 years ago, and here we are again. And actually, things are much worse. 287G enables racial profiling as a legal tool of our local police. It is a license to abuse the most vulnerable among us. Officers trained by ICE under the 287G agreement learn to use foreign-sounding last names, place of birth, or racial appearance as a reason to investigate and arrest people. This is textbook racial profiling, enabled by a federal statute and forced upon us by a state government that has nothing to offer the people except a horror show. That is why the Tampa DSA is standing with St. Pete and the entire immigrant community when we demand that St. Pete police end their 287G agreements. Thank you. Ira Beeson with the Party for Socialism and Liberation will speak next.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ira. I'm with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and today I'm here to speak out against the St. Petersburg City's Police collaboration with ICE and the 287G agreement. The 287G agreement, delegates federal immigration enforcement authority to local police departments, essentially making them makeshift ICE agents. Because of Trump's big, beautiful bill, money for ICE is going directly to local police departments to act as immigration enforcement officers. ICE's budget is now $37.5 billion. ICE's budget is now larger than most of the world's military budgets. Some of this budget is being allocated through the 287G agreement for local police departments. This agreement is not only serving a great harm to our immigrant community, but is taking dirty ICE money and increasing the budget of the police department, while we have barely been increasing the budget for social services. The last thing the residents of this city needs is more money for a police department that is already set to receive a budget of just over $173 million in 2026. This is a 6.3% increase over 2025. Meanwhile, this city is responsible for 46% of the unhoused population in Pinellas County, estimated to be more than 700 unhoused people in the county. But housing assistance will have a budget of less than $3 million, an increase of only 2.78%. It is clear that the city would rather invest in a violent, racist system that punishes people instead of services that help the most needy. Money to house the houseless, feed the hungry, and provide good medical care for the residents of St. Pete. Taxpayer money should go to uplifting our community, not to terrorize people of color who are being profiled by ICE.
That's right.
We know that the root cause of crime is poverty. The evidence is clear that social services are more effective in reducing crime than increased police presence, and are able to do so without deportations or human rights violations. The St. Pete Police Department does not need more hard-earned taxpayer money. They do not need money for new cars, for training on how to better profile and harass immigrants. They do not need money for the overtime they're going to get for the training. The officers who participate in this sham, the offer of money and some new toys is all it takes for them to sell out their communities.
Shame.
Shame!
Shame.
This agreement is not one that the police chief, Chief Holloway, had to sign on to. And likewise, Chief Holloway has the power to end this agreement. As working class people of this city, we hate to see our immigrant neighbors being torn from their families by ICE agents and thrown into prisons. So I am here today calling for an end to this horrible agreement and an end to the brutality being inflicted upon our neighbors and an end to the wasteful spending of taxpayer dollars. The only way to build public trust is to prove that you deserve it. And with this agreement, you are proving the opposite. Thank you for your time. And next we have Pastor Ben with the Unitarian Universalist Church.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for staying. Thank you, Leah. Thank the organizers, and my thanks to my colleague, Reverend Andy Oliver. My name is Ben Atherton Zeman. My pronouns are he and they, and I am indeed the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. In his letter from a Birmingham jail, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Dr. King said this right after he said the immortal words, "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Now, my faith teaches me that all beings are precious, are worthy of respect, are worthy of dignity. Nowhere in my faith does it say unless they are undocumented. Nowhere in my faith does it say unless they are transgender, unless their skin is dark, unless they are Palestinian, unless they are Jewish, unless they are gay, unless they are unhoused. In high school, I read a book called 1984 by George Orwell. Maybe you all had to read that as well. And at the time, I thought it was fiction. Lately, it seems more and more like nonfiction. Lately, it seems fine for ICE to arrest grandmothers screaming as they are wrestled to the ground, but it's illegal to take a video of ICE arresting the grandmothers. Lately, it's fine to ban books, but teachers get in trouble for teaching accurate history. Lately, it's fine to force children to use their dead name, but teachers get in trouble for calling them by their correct name. Lately, it's fine for the state to erase beautiful murals, but it's illegal for clergy to pray on top of those beautiful murals. Lately, it's fine for presidents to consort with child molesters, but it's illegal to fall asleep. Something we all do, to fall asleep if the place you're sleeping happens to be outside. You've heard of the statistics today. You've all seen the videos of ICE arrests. You've seen it as they break up families. They're the ones breaking the law. They're not enforcing the law. They wear camouflage, flak jackets, masks. If I were law enforcement, I would be embarrassed to be associated with ICE. It is time for our city to dissolve St. Petersburg 287G agreement with ICE.
Yeah.
At our church, we say all are welcome. Usually. Lately, we've been saying all are welcome except for ICE. ICE is not welcome at our church, but let me be clear, you are welcome at our church if you are undocumented, if you are trans, if you are persecuted by the state, or even by your previous church. I'll conclude with these words of prayer. Mother Goddess, Father God, Spirit of life, you who go by so many names and sometimes no name at all. We're told that 2,000 years ago, an undocumented, unhoused couple gave birth to a baby in a Bethlehem barn. The centuries since have brought us technological advances, the ability to feed and shelter everyone, yet 2,000 years later, there seems to be still no room at the end. So we gather to ask why, in this country of billionaires, so many do not have food. To ask why, in a country that says corporations are people, so many do not have clothing. To ask why, in the city where luxury condos stretch to the sky, we do not build more units of affordable housing. Help us to do better. Help our leaders do the right thing. Give them the wisdom to end our 287G agreement with ICE. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. Our next speaker is from the Pinellas Democratic Socialists of America. Please welcome my friend, Carla Correa.
Thank you.
When immigrants are under attack, what do we do? When immigrants are under attack, what do we do? Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Carla Correa, Karla Correa. I'm co-chair of the Pinellas Democratic Socialists of America, and we're here as a member organization of the Tampa Bay Immigrant Solidarity Network. The 287G agreement being signed in St. Pete is a case of misplaced priorities. We don't need to be partners with ICE, an organization that is terrorizing and kidnapping people across the country, putting fear in our neighbors who make the community what it is. Here in St. Pete, the city prides itself on diversity, as it should. In 2022, Mayor Welch created the We Are St. Pete campaign. On the city's website, the city says they are embracing the spirit of principled progress and intentional inclusivity. This community campaign aims to celebrate the rich diversity that thrives within St. Pete's cultural tapestry. We're thrilled to share this campaign with our city. It showcases the pride of St. Pete, but also serves as a tangible symbol of solidarity. Yet these words ring hollow when the city signs an agreement that gives police the power to arrest based on suspicion. Let me say that again. Suspicion of civil immigration infraction. We need to call it what it is. Codifying, legalizing, and incentivizing racial profiling. And if the city keeps this agreement in place, Mayor Welch is directly complicit in that. We need to remember who Chief Holloway answers to. He answers to the mayor. The mayor should listen to the people. There's a reason that this agreement was signed quietly, with no public input. And since it's been signed, residents from all over the city have sent hundreds of letters to the mayor and the chief, and we've been met with radio silence or been downright brushed off. We're living in two cities. In one, St. Petersburg, people go out to their fancy restaurants and they live in their high rises. Who's working in the kitchens of those restaurants? Who's building those high rises? And not to mention all the other working class people of all races who are struggling to meet their basic needs. Let's focus on getting public power and housing, right?
Right.
And not going after our most vulnerable. The DSA stands shoulder to shoulder with our fellow workers, regardless of skin color, gender, or immigration status. We, the working people of St. Pete, share a common struggle. Liberation from the shackles of capitalist exploitation, a right to self-determination and democratic control over our government, our workplaces, our living spaces, and our city as a whole. And in this united struggle, we share a common enemy. The bosses, the landlords, the ruling elite and politicians who enable their depraved, tyrannical agenda. Immigrants are our neighbors, our classmates, our family members, and our co-workers. So long as they are not free, none of us are free. And we're going to fight. We're going to continue to fight like hell. We're going to continue to demand an end to this agreement until it's over. And we're going to continue to fight all of the fascist policies that we're seeing. So thank you very much. We hope the mayor and the police chief listen to the people. And next we will hear from our ally from the Tampa Immigrant Rights Coalition, Yoon. Woo! El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Trump, es escucha, estamos en la lucha.
Trump, escucha, estamos en la lucha.
And let's bring it a little closer to home. Welch, escucha, estamos en la lucha.
Welch, escucha, estamos en la lucha.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yoon. Full name spelled Y-U-N-Q-I-N-G. Last name Z-H-E-N-G. I am a member of the Tampa Immigrants' Rights Committee. We are a chapter of a national network of organizations called Legalization for All, with our oldest chapters having been around since the 1940s. And we're proud to stand as a member of the Tampa Bay Immigrant Solidarity Network in this campaign to end 287G. Several of our chapters around the country have been taking action against ICE and have been talking to the community members about 287G. People's responses all around the country have been the same. The people do not want ICE in their communities, and the people do not want their cities signed onto the 287G agreement. People do not want ICE raids in their communities, and they do not want local law enforcement partaking in ICE activities. It is not enough that local officials make the spineless claim that their law enforcement has not complied with ICE, or that they do not know what the agreement entails, even though they've signed on to it already. When local law enforcement has signed on to 287G, what that claim really means is we haven't complied with ICE yet. It means should a situation arise where local law enforcement may need to assist ICE, they will, regardless of the documentation status of the people being targeted. It tells the community that local officials do not care enough to actively protect the literal lives of their immigrant communities. But let's say it as it is. The signing of this agreement means that some local law officials and local officials do not care enough to protect their immigrant communities for the rest of their terms in office. Our chapter in Charleston, South Carolina, the Charleston Community Service Organization, documented their local police department collaborating with ICE after the department claimed non-collaboration with ICE. We need more than empty words from our local officials. What we need from them is action. We live in a state where the state erases data that doesn't suit their agenda. Just this year, the Florida Immigration Enforcement Dashboard erased data on U.S. citizens who were detained by ICE, and documentation about state contracts for Alligator Alcatraz were replaced with vague language. When local officials base their statements on a system that lies so quickly and effortlessly, it's our duty to demand more of them.
Yes.
We cannot wait for our local officials to spontaneously care, to take a stand against DeSantis. DeSantis has threatened to unseat local officials who do not bend to his demands, but he has made a number of bold-faced threats before, and every time the people have fought back. He threatened to smother the George Floyd riots of 2020, and the people continue to take to the streets. He threatened the Tampa five students and community members who were arrested for protesting his attacks on DEI with decades of prison time, and he lost that case before the Tampa 5 even saw a single day in court. We're here today to demand that local officials do the bare minimum their jobs require. Serve and protect their constituents. Serve and protect the working people, and that includes immigrants. We're here to join the demand of TBISN that St. Pete Police Chief Holloway and St. Pete Mayor Welch respond first and foremost to the people they serve, not DeSantis, not ICE, not Trump, or anyone else who threatens the livelihoods of St. Pete's immigrant communities. We are here to join a demand that cities all across the country are raising on the local, state, and national level. We demand that St. Pete end their 287G agreement. And before I hand this off, I just want to restate for the press that the Tampa Bay Immigrant Solidarity Network is a coalition of immigrants' rights, is a coalition for immigrants' rights comprised of organizations across Tampa Bay, including Tampa Immigrants' Rights Committee, the Party for Socialism and Liberation Tampa Bay, Pinellas Democratic Socialists of America, and Tampa Democratic Socialists of America. Thank you everyone for your time, and I'm going to pass it back to Carla for the Q&A portion of this press conference. Give it up for Yoon. Hey everybody, I know thank you for coming out. I know it's hot out. We're going to do 10 minutes in case anybody has any questions. So go ahead if you have any. Yeah, of course. So yeah, it's Christmas time. Oh, have her repeat it, or do you want me to repeat it? Okay, yeah. So she asks, what is the significance of doing this around Christmas time? Did you want to take this one, Leo? Okay, yeah. So, you know, it's Christmas time. Everyone should be enjoying time with their family, enjoying time off, a time to recharge. And yet our immigrant neighbors with this policy, first of all, they're afraid to leave their homes. A lot of them aren't going to work. A lot of them aren't going to school. People should have the right to travel. People should have the right to move around and be able to call the police if they feel scared. But with this policy, knowing that the police could act as ICE at any time, it creates fear in our neighbors. And that's not good for any of us. So, you know, doing this around the holidays, we all wanted to come out here. Well, you know, we should be spending time with our families too, but you know, this is an emergency, and we want we've been trying to get the attention of the mayor and the chief, so we took it to their doorstep. So that's why we're here. Any other questions, or are we good?
Can I take a Christmas question here?
Yeah, please.
Just wanted to respond to the. Thank you for the question about Christmas. I'll be leading worship on Christmas Eve tomorrow night, but if all I did was that, I wouldn't be doing my job. Carla said it right. There are two St. Petersburgs, and one of them we get to gather in our warm churches and light candles and sing, and the other, they're afraid for their lives, and they're afraid for their lives because of this 287G agreement. I think that we are doing our undocumented siblings a disservice if we let that agreement stay during this Christmas season or any other time. So thank you for your question.
Thank you. Any other questions, or are we good? Oh, Sebastian?
Yeah, like, did this ever go beyond safety?
Yeah, so there's been 97 agreements that law enforcement agencies have signed around the state of Florida. Most of them have been signed this year, and every single place where they've been signed, there's been resistance to them. So there's resistance to them in Tampa. There's resistance at the university levels, at UF, FSU. All the universities are fighting against it. They're fighting against it in Orlando, all across the state. This effort, especially in Miami as well, they're being fought against. Yeah, that's a big one. So yeah, Will?
Yeah. How do you think this issue bodes Ken Welch's re-election campaign?
That's a great question. Did anyone else want to take this before I go? Okay. So, yeah, Ken Welch is running for re-election this year, and I emphasized this during my speaking portion, but, you know, he prides the city on diversity. He started the We Are St. Pete campaign, and it's a joke. It's a joke when he's doing these things behind people's backs, quietly signing these agreements, because the vast majority of people in St. Pete stand with immigrants, and we support immigrants, and a lot of us are immigrants. And so, like, yeah, if we want, you know, a progressive mayor, you know, he's gonna have to do better. He's gonna have to give a statement. All of the media, please get a statement from the mayor on this, because he's been quiet about this for too long, and that's why we're pressing him on this. Any other questions? I think we're good. When immigrants are under attack, what do we do? When immigrants are under attack, what do we do?
Fight back. I got a chant in response to that question.
Mayor Welch, you're a traitor! Mayor Welch, you're a traitor! This term is your last as mayor! This term is your last as mayor! Mayor Welch, you're a traitor! Mayor Welch, you're a traitor! This term is your last as mayor! This term is your last as mayor!
We are giving him an open opportunity to respond to the people's demand, and if he does not, that's the chant we're going to be pulling out.
That's a perfect way to end it. So, thank you very much, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
There's water in the cooler. If the media needs water, you guys can grab anything. Oh, you got you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, why didn't I put on?
You should join the DSA.